Hey everybody, we're back with another episode on It's All About the Spice. I'm Sean.
And I'm Hina.
And tonight Hina's going to walk us through and cook for us a delicious Indian curry. Hina, tell us a little bit about what you're going to make for us tonight.
So tonight I'm going to make fish curry, and the recipe for this fish curry, I've learned it from different regions in India that I've worked and I've lived over time. So part of it comes from Bengal, some Bengali friends that I had the opportunity to work with and spend some time with them in Calcutta, and then also some South Indian friends that I met when I moved over to US several years ago. So you're going to see it's a little bit of mix of South Indian flavors and then also some Bengali tips and tricks that I'm going to use in this curry.
Awesome, awesome. And for those of you who aren't very familiar with cooking curries, this one I want to point out because Hina's made it for me many times and it's fantastic. But this isn't just swapping the meat out so it doesn't replicate the chicken curry. This is a new recipe altogether, right?
Yes, it's going to be a completely different process than what we did with the previous video, which was making the chicken curry.
Awesome. Okay, well, can you walk us through a little bit of what the ingredients are, Hina?
Yes. So what we have here is we've got salmon. It's about half a pound of salmon. It's got skin on it. I've washed it and chopped it into or cut it into small pieces, not too small though. And then we've got about 4 medium-sized tomatoes that we've chopped. Roughly chopped, not too little of the pieces. And then I've got about half onion, or medium. I've got about medium onion that's finely chopped.
Okay.
And then I've got some garlic, about 3-4 cloves of garlic that I've kind of mashed here.
Okay.
So into a little paste that we're going to use in the curry.
And of course some fresh cilantro.
Yeah, cilantro always has to be there no matter everything I cook.
And then the spices, right? Because it's all about spice. So tell us a little bit about what spices you're using.
We're going to use a lot of spices in this curry. So we're going to start off with some turmeric as we marinate the fish. We're going to use some red chili powder, and then we're going to use some cumin, coriander in the curry as well. But there's something interesting and different that I'm going to do here is we're going to use mustard oil. Even when we marinate the fish and also when I'm cooking the fish and the curry. The mustard oil really brings that nice flavor from that fish, and it's heavily influenced by the time I spent in Kolkata.
Okay, a good tip there. Yeah,
yes,
that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm going to step behind the camera and I'm going to let you do your thing and go ahead and get us started here, okay?
Yes, yes. All right, so we're going to start marinating our fish here. So I'm going to put all my fish pieces, we're going to transfer this into a bowl. We're going to start with some salt. So this is going to be about a teaspoon of salt that we're going to put here. Then I have mustard oil that I'm going to put. If you don't have mustard oil, that's fine. You can just use canola oil, about another teaspoon of the mustard oil. Next, I'm going to use turmeric powder. So again, another teaspoon of, about half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to use some red chili powder. So I've got some red chili powder here that I'm going to use. Again, about half a teaspoon of red chili powder that goes in here. And that's it. So we're not going to use too many spices when we're marinating the fish. The only other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze half a lemon here. So I'm just going to squeeze it, all the juices. All right. Okay, there we go. So that's done. Take the seed out, and I think it's done. I'm just going to use my hand here. So just mix all this spices together. So we're going to massage the fish with all the spices. Make sure the spices are nicely coated on the fish. Okay, so now we're going to start with cooking the tomatoes first. Right, so now I'm going to take a medium-sized pot and we're going to start cooking our curry on one side, and then we're also going to fry our fish on the other side. So I'm going to start with canola oil, about 1 tablespoon canola oil, and I'm also going to add mustard oil to it. Just about 1 tablespoon. Alright, so now we've got the oil. I'm going to make sure that it coats the dish nicely. Now we're going to put some mustard seeds. So I've got some mustard seeds here. So just that in there. Alright, so we're going to wait for the mustard seeds to pop, and then we'll put our tomatoes in there. Alright, so our oil is hot now, and now we're going to put the tomatoes. Alright, there we go. Okay, so I've added the tomatoes in there. I'm going to stir it. And now we're going to let the tomatoes cook. And this will be about 5 to 10 minutes. And what you're really looking for is the tomatoes to turn into a really nice red paste. So really the tomatoes are going to break down in the oil with the heat. So we'll let that cook. And I'm going to cover this with the lid here. Alright, so now I have another pan here. And I'm going to use that to fry the fish first. So again, the same thing. We're going to put some canola oil to this. Add about a tablespoon of canola oil, and then just a little bit of mustard oil for flavoring, not too much, so just about a little teaspoon. Alright, I'm going to wait for the oil to get hot. Alright, so our oil is nice and hot, so I'm going to start putting the fish pieces in here. Okay. You don't have to do all of this at once. You can do it in batches too. Looks like this is going to fit, so I think we're good here. I'm just going to add the remainder of the spices in here. Okay. So really what we're doing is we're going to cook the fish, almost like frying the fish, before we add it to the curry. So let's take a look at the tomatoes. It's been about a minute or two, so really they need some more time. So I'm going to stir in just a little bit, and we're going to leave it like that covered. Alright, so our fish is ready to flip, and we left it really about 2 minutes each side. That's how long we want to cook it. Alright, so I'm going to just flip all of them and just let them cook for another 2 minutes. Alright, so the fish is almost done, so I'm just going to transfer it into a bowl here. Okay, so the fish is done. Now we're going to add onions to the same oil, and we're going to cook our onions. All right, there we go. So we're going to do some parallel work here. Okay. All right. And again, I've got about medium to high heat, and I'm cooking the onions here. Okay, I'm going to scrape the bottom of the pan. Okay. Alright, so we'll leave the onions to cook. Alright, let's take a look at our tomatoes. So as you can see, our tomatoes are cooking down. So it's turning into almost like a paste, but they need about another 5 or so minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to press them just a little bit here. Alright, so let them cook for another about 5 minutes. Alright, so to my onion mix, I'm also going to add the minced garlic paste that we had made earlier. So this is just minced garlic, adding it to that. Alright, so you're going to leave the onions to cook so they just turn kind of translucent and then light brown. And once that happens, we're good. We're just going to transfer the onions and the garlic mix into our tomato pot here. Alright, so let's check on the tomatoes. So as you can see, our tomatoes are almost done. You can see how the tomatoes have turned into this really nice thick kind of paste. Now, if you had curry leaves, then you could add curry leaves to it now, and that would give a really nice aroma to it. I don't have curry leaves today, so I'm not going to add them. But that's something that, you know, I've seen a lot of my South Indian friends, they use curry leaves a lot in the cooking, and especially it adds a very special aroma and taste to the fish curry. So add curry leaves if you have any. All right, so now we're gonna add just a few spices, and then we can transfer our onions into the tomato paste. So we've got some cumin powder. So I'm gonna add some cumin powder to it. About 1 teaspoon. I've got some coriander powder that I'm gonna add to it, about half a teaspoon. Coriander powder. Okay. Come out of the bottle. Okay. All right, so, and then I've got some red chili powder that I'm gonna add. Now again, it depends on how spicy you want this curry to be. There we go. Add some red chili powder. You can also add green chilies if you like green chilies better than red chili powder. I personally don't really like green chilies as much, and it's also harder to find it in regular grocery stores in the US, so I just use red chili powder. Kind of does the same magic for me. Alright, so you can see our tomato paste is ready and it's looking really nice here. So now we're just going to turn the onions off, and we're going to transfer this whole thing into my tomato mix. Okay, there we go. So we've transferred all of that into our tomato base, and we're going to mix it. Oh, look how nice that looks. Okay, beautiful. All right, so now I'm gonna add a little bit of cilantro or coriander in here, about half of what I have. Mix this, and we're gonna let it sit for about another 5 minutes. Just so the onions and tomatoes and everything is mixed really well. Okay, we're going to cover this with a lid, and I'm going to turn the heat to almost low and let it cook for about 5 minutes. Now you'll see that our tomato paste it's turned really nice and red. The onions, the onion mixture is all mixed with it nicely well, and you'll see that we've got this oil that's coming out of the paste, so that's when we know that it's ready. Alright, so now we're going to do a couple things. First, I'm going to do a little bit of taste, and it looks like it needs a little bit salt. So I'm going to add some salt to it. So this is about half a teaspoon, about a teaspoon of salt. So you've added the salt, we're going to mix it. And now we're going to add some water to this curry. Alright, so I've got about half a cup of water that I'm going to add to this curry. There we go. Alright, okay, so our added water to this curry. Now I'm going to just turn the heat to high, and we're going to wait for the water to boil, which should be just about a minute. And once that's done, we're going to add fish that we fried earlier to the curry, and then we're going to just garnish it with cilantros, leave it for another 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready. Careful not to burn your fingers too. The curry's hot. Okay, there we go. We got one more little, try to put that in there. I've got one more little piece, and then all the oil and juices that you have from the fish, just transfer it all to the curry here. Now, I'm not going to stir this too much because, again, we don't want the fish pieces to fall apart in the curry, so just be very gentle, light, careful. Okay, so all I'm making sure is just the fish is covered with the curry here. Alright, okay, so we're just going to garnish it with cilantro. There we go. Got some fresh cilantro here. Okay, so cilantro is same as coriander. Okay, alright, so I think we're all done. I'm just going to turn the heat to really low and cover it with the lid and just let it simmer for just another 5 minutes, and you can turn it off and your curry is good to go.
Okay, so here it is. Here's our fish curry. Hina plated it up for me, and we're serving it. You're serving it with what? One roti, right?
Yes. I've got rice as well, but I prefer to start my meal always with roti and then transition to rice.
Okay, well, it's got beautiful color here.
We'll have Sean try it and tell us how he thinks.
I know it's incredibly
Careful,
hot.
it's very hot.
Very hot. But let's try this here. Oh, it's delicious.
It looks so yummy that I'm gonna go for it too.
It's delicious.
Can't wait.
Ooh, it's got a little spice. It's got a little kick to it. It's very different than the chicken curry. You know.
Yeah.
The spice is really coming into it to hit me now. It's good. Oh, it's delicious. The fish is so tender and delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, what a fantastic! And this was so easy. This was a quick, easy meal.
This is actually very easy compared to the chicken curry recipe that we did. I think that's very elaborate and takes a lot of prep.
Awesome. Well, great job, Hina. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And we're going to keep making these delicious dinners. Well, I'm not making them. She's going to make them.
Maybe we'll have Sean make something for us too.
Okay, well, until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.